Want to show you the scenes from earlier this morning at the very special commemoration in Wageningen. There is Canada's Governor General Mary Simon as she arrives to take the salute and to watch the parade through the center of that Dutch community on what is the 80th anniversary of Liberation Day in the Netherlands. The Canadian delegation, led by Mary Simon, has, there's Richard Romer, some of the Canadians who are there, 22 all told, 21 in Wageningen today, because one of the delegation, one of the veterans, is actually in another parade elsewhere. But there are some of the Canadian veterans who are accepting handshakes and thanks from the assembled dignitaries. Now, one who is there, I want to tell you as we look at these pictures, a little bit of a story. The retired Chief Warrant Officer Anton or Tony Pearson has made his 10th trip back to the Netherlands since Liberation Day. And this time, 4 generations of his family are there, including his great-granddaughter, Ayla, who was kind enough to share her great-grandfather's story with us and to invite us to have a conversation with him, which we are delighted to do. So let me introduce you to, there's Ayla on the right, but there is retired Chief Warrant Officer Anton Tony Pearson. Sir, good morning and welcome to CBC Morning Live.
Good morning.
Good morning. Sir, tell me a little bit. This is the day, this is Liberation Day. This is the day that you and your fellow Canadian soldiers helped make possible. How are you feeling on this Liberation Day anniversary?
I'm excellent. It was a bit cool this morning, but right now the temperature is in our favor.
It looks beautiful where you are there in Wageningen. I know that you had the experience earlier today of riding through the streets, all through that town. What was it like to hear again the cheers and the applause of all the people who were there?
Well, the experience was unbelievable. And to see so many people that came out this morning to participate in this parade, it was a real warm feeling.
I bet it was. And for you, Ayla, this is the 10th time for your great-grandfather, but is this your first? This is your first, Ayla?
This is my first time being in this part of the Netherlands.
In this
yes.
part. So what was it like for you then to experience that parade this morning?
It's so moving. There's so much gratitude in my heart to first be here with my great-grandfather, but to see the love that the Dutch people have for our Canadian veterans, it brings me to tears. It's so beautiful.
It's
and
beautiful.
To be able to be a part directly with him, it's amazing.
You know, it brings you to tears. Was watching from here in Canada, so I can't imagine the emotion of being there. Was it more or different, Ayla, from what you expected it was going to be like?
I did not expect this. I believe there's over 90,000 people in the crowd today as we went through a 5-kilometer journey on a golf cart with the crowds cheering and giving us flowers and giving us their thanks and coming over for autographs from my great-grandfather. It was so touching.
Just incredible. Sir, Ayla sent me some pictures, and I want to bring up a picture from the Holton Canadian Cemetery because I know you had a special honor there. You lit the torch there to begin a part of the ceremony. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
The lighting of the torch was quite different than I expected, but it was a honor of lighting the torch at the beginning of the ceremony.
And you were there, and as I understand it, you're the only veteran in the Canadian group who actually fought in that place. So it must have been very particular, special to you.
Yes, it was, and the scenery always is the same. They maintain the cemetery in an exemplary manner, and it's always wonderful to go back. And I have a lot of friends who are buried there.
I was wondering who or what were you thinking about? Is there anyone in particular or a story that you were thinking about as you visited that cemetery again?
Well, your mind goes back to that period of time, and there's always something new that surfaces in my mind of what took place at that time, and often you reflect on it from time to time. But when you're actually on the ground, it's a totally different atmosphere.
You know, one of the things that strikes me as I look is, as you said, how beautifully they care for the Canadian graves at such a tribute. But I'm also so struck, sir, when I see all the children and the young people who just look up to you, such great heroes. You know, when you see the young children there in places like Wageningen, what impact does that have on you?
Well, it's nice that they have this continual educational program throughout their schools and whatever organizations they're part of, and it keeps the moment of time alive throughout the years.
Ellen, I'm wondering, did your great-grandfather share many of his wartime experiences with family at home?
He has, and to hear those stories, I can't even begin to comprehend what that experience was for him and for his fellow comrades. It's just, it's so important to have these pieces of history shared with us to keep alive for the next generation, and to hear and to see the gratitude from the Dutch children. It was just, it blew my mind.
Did it really? As I was thinking, it's one thing to hear the stories growing up, but it's another thing to be in the place where those stories happen, to see that history unfold. And I would imagine for you, it must have been pretty powerful as well.
It's very powerful, and his stories I will always take them with me. And I think about them when I think about my own daily struggles and what he went through and how he fought for our country and everything like that.
You know, because you're 23 now, and if I have it
Yes.
correct, your great-grandfather was 18 to 20, so you're a little bit older now than he was when he was fighting there. And there might not be a lot of 23-year-olds who know about the exploits of your great-grandfather's generation. What do you want young Canadians to know?
If I could tell people my age, I would say pick up a book about World War II. Talk to your grandparents if they're in your life, to share their stories, and to just research. The veterans that I've spoken to on this trip there have been such emotional conversations to not only hear my grandfather's stories, but to hear their stories as well. And I share and I educate my friends, and I hope to continue to do so as I grow up.
Wonderful. Do you think I could see, sir, could you just move your left arm so I can see the full breadth of your medals? I want to take a good look at that this morning, and of course the poppy. That is just exquisite. Thank you for showing those to me. I'm thinking about all that you did 80 years ago, but I'm also thinking, and maybe you are too, sir, that there's war on the European continent again today. And I'm wondering if you're thinking about that, fighting going on. That hasn't happened in a long, long time. And I'm wondering if you have a message for us today.
Well, it's impossible to comprehend all that's going on in the various theaters, and to try and determine what the reason might be to have all these various things happening throughout the continent and in other parts of the world.
It really is. So is there one thing in particular, I have to sort of think about bringing this to an end, is there one thing on this trip, your 10th trip back to the Netherlands, is there one thing in particular you're going to store away in your memory that's been most significant or most touching to you so far?
Well, I think the most important thing is the gratitude that we experience, that these people on the continent express in various forms, to let us know that they are really genuinely thinking of the times when their parents suffered the ravages of the time.
thank you very much. Could I wish you as well, I must not miss doing this, a belated 100th anniversary back on March the 8th. I get to wish you, in front of all the country, a happy 100th, sir.
Thank you.
And thank you for your service. And Ayla, thanks for sharing your great-grandfather's story with us. He is a great man, and I've enjoyed the time with both of you. Thank you again.
Thank you so much.
A pleasure to meet you both here on CBC Morning Live. The 80th anniversary of Liberation Day in the Netherlands. As we look at the scene, the Governor General and her husband enjoying seeing the pipes and drums from Ontario. And you are watching CBC Morning Live.